Welcome to Marathon Champions, the podcast where running legends Benji Durden, Bill Rogers, and Ron Tabb share their timeless wisdom on marathon training and inspire listeners with their wealth of experience. These champions continue to impact the running world today.
I don't think the governing bodies want to catch everybody. They'll catch a bunch of people if they can.
Just enough to show that they're doing something.
Yeah, but they allow excuses that are just ridiculous to be accepted.
Yeah, with the Chinese swimmers and the Russians.
That's one example. You know, there's I think she was tennis, and but anyway, no, she was she had a weight. I think she might have been a wrestler or something. Anyway, a woman recently refused to take the test because she was dehydrated and she needed to go get fluids, and she said, I can't take the test right now. And they finally agreed that she was mentally incapable of making a right decision at the time, and she's fine. Yeah. And it's sort of, well, if you got rules, you got rules. Either follow them or don't have that rule. I mean, it's like you know, the marijuana rule. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it helps a sprinter, but it's the rule.
Yeah. I mean, they can always do more, I think, you know.
Oh yeah, there can be more stuff done. And you know, that you see Kenya has done a lot better because they're catching so many, over 100 in the last year or 2 years.
Took them a while.
Yeah, but then there's Ethiopia, and I don't know how you test in country in Ethiopia, given they have a civil war going on.
Someone posted something recently about EPO when it first began with the cyclists, and then looked at running in that same time period. You know, when the world records were being broken left, right, and center, and the 10,000, and they kind of compared it to the beginnings of when EPO was available. So there is a, you know, I mean, you may not know it for a fact, but you know, you believe it to be true.
It would be difficult to say that it didn't happen.
Exactly. But you know, we have to go on. So you know,
and I mean, I'm like Bobby. I'm still a fan, and I'll suspend my disbelief so I can watch. But if I think about it very much, it's sort of like, I don't know about those times.
There are times when you're watching and you're thinking, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Yes. We're all in agreement on that one. And I think that's because we are so involved and kind of knowledgeable, at least. And most runners, I would say today, have no idea that this is going on, but they're not really care too much.
Yeah.
They're really
I think they assume that everybody at any elite level in any sport is on something. And so it doesn't bother them.
What do you guys
think? I know that's not the case, but I think that's the assumption.
Yeah.
Roberto wrote an article about that, and that's what he said. What do you guys think about the trials, U.S. track trials?
You and I both had a good time there, I think.
What do you think about going forward?
Oh, how to have the trials, how to select a team?
Yeah. Mostly just the fact that Los Angeles hasn't shown any interest in having the trials, and it looks like it's pretty much a slam dunk. It's going to be in Eugene again. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with Eugene, but I'm thinking that it would be good for the sport to spread it around a little bit.
Well, you've got to have a location that's got the financial backing to bid against Nike.
They don't want it, I don't think.
And you've got to have a location that really is capable of handling
Los Angeles seemed like one of the few places.
Yeah, but they've said they don't want it. They came out and said that it was going to be too much of a hassle.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a little bit of influence by USA Track and Field.
Well, yeah, because USA Track and Field is sponsored by Nike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, who pays Max Siegel? It's Nike. So their press conference they had at the trials was laughable.
Anyway. What about Indianapolis again?
Huh.
Yeah, well, you know,
It's centrally located.
It's centrally located, but who's going to pay for it?
Yeah, their stadium at IUPUI, I think they sold that or something. You know, I ran at IUPUI, the first meet they ever had there in 1982, USSR track meet.
Indiana?
And I ran the trials there. I ran the nationals there. So I ran there several times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They had the Pan Am games there. But that stadium sits about 10,000. 10 to 12.
You're going to have at least 15, I think. Mount Sac has got a new facility.
Yes.
And I suppose
they were supposed to host the trials.
Yeah.
Not this one. The
last I know.
One. Yeah.
So they are a possibility, but again, you've got to have a lot of financial backing to pull this thing off.
But Benji, the reason that they won't go for it again is because they got treated so badly the last time.
Well, yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that, we're throwing out here who could do it, and they could.
Yeah, they could, exactly. I would be in favor of SAC. I just think we need more track towns than just one.
Yeah, I agree.
We need one track town. We need to spread out. Eugene's nice. They do a great job with the trials.
Well, what shoe company is number 2 in the United States? Is it
actually, running, I'm not sure Nike's still number 1 in running.
I think New Balance has really stepped up.
Puma is also running
New
real hard route too.
Since back in the day, New Balance is really took off. They built an amazing indoor track here in Boston.
Yeah.
It seats 5,000 people, and it's just beautiful facility. So they're all in, but they're Jim Davis, their president, was then and is now. He's one of the wealthiest people in the country or in the world. So they were $100 million company back in the 70s.
I think they do $4 billion a year, or maybe it's 9 now.
Yeah, they're in the billions.
Yes. I think it's what we've been talking about, how things change from our era to the modern era, how things have gone up and up and up. They're better, but there are dangers like the drug issue. But I think the future is bright. The young people want to do well. And I think the Americans
have some nice,
little
groups like ZAP, which you're repping there on your shirt. Ed Eyestone's doing an incredible job. Mark Coogan. So, they all go to altitude.
Groups in Arizona that are doing pretty well.
Yep. And they're all going to high altitude for their stints out there. And, we have some good groups, but still, for example, like our marathon prow, it's in Florida. It's going to be hot. The top 2, they already had the time. So it was almost kind of pointless for them to even run. And then they run it in Florida when no one has even the slightest chance of running the fat.
Well, they ended up running a pretty fast race given the conditions, I thought.
They did, thanks to our friend who was pacing it there. What's his?
Zach
Yeah, who was the guy who was leading most of the way? He was my hero there. Yeah, he went all in, and he ended up finishing about 5th or something. I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, but I think, we always have this thing about the trials. Top 3 go. That's it. It's very cut and dry. But it's really not. It's not that way on the track, and it's not that way. If we want to send the best athletes and we want them to be as well prepared as they can, why are we making them run this race? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's money.
It's very political, and it's hard to get around it because our sport doesn't get explained to the general public. The public thinks it's top 3 go, and that's in a perfect world. When you have all these crazy qualifications.
Well, Bob, I think, about the Disney Marathon. I heard a long time ago, I think the Disney wanted to they own ESPN. I think I heard that they want the Olympics someday down in Disney, in Florida, and that could happen. But the real truth is also, Bob, when we ran the trials, and I think when it was hot in '84, when Alberto and Mr. Fitzinger were duking it out, You and
It
I.
wasn't that hot though. It wasn't bad.
Don't you think it was like into the 70s?
Yeah,
It
but
was.
70s is not
Yeah.
that hot. I mean,
It
you,
wasn't perfect. Yeah.
and the games are always going to be in the summer, so it's not that big a deal.
That's
No,
true.
The
Benji,
thing I have a mixed feeling. I agree with what you're saying in that we shouldn't make our athletes that we know are going to make the team like at Ice Stones too. But at the same time, the trials are for many of American marathoners their goal.
very
There's nothing beyond the trials. That's their goal. We take that
Yeah.
away, then what do we have for them?
Yeah.
well,
That's a total mind game thing too on on everybody's part, because they just want to attach the word Olympic. I'm running in the Olympic trials. That's just a mind game.
Well,
You could be
but
why don't you go to Chicago and run a fast time, and then
because nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of general public. If the general public hears you ran a
but
fast time in
Benji,
Chicago, it's no big deal.
best-
You ran the Olympic trials, that's a big deal.
yeah.
if the best thing you can do is run 2:18 or 2:19, that's great, but you don't really belong in the Olympic trials because you're not going to make the team. So
Well, then, I mean, but I don't think that's developed. A lot of us became good marathoners because we were focused on getting fast enough to get to the trials.
right.
That was my first goal as a marathoner, to run fast enough to make the
Yeah.
trials. I wasn't even thinking in terms of, okay, I can make the team. I was thinking, can I make the trials?
Right.
And that was a lot of the people that I ran against early on. That was their whole focus was making the trials.
Right. But if you're going into the trials and your goal is to run 2:18 or 2:19, then why are you running the trials?
Because you're in the trials.
I know. You
achieved
could say you ran the
objective.
trial, but really, what's the point? I don't.
Well, the dream was to make for someone like myself. The dream was to just qualify for the Olympic trials,
Right.
and I think that's what Benji. I think that's
Right, but
kind
that
of
was
what
the
he's saying.
goal. That was a
I mean,
goal
because
along the way. That
we
was a step
didn't.
along the way.
Yeah, we didn't.
I mean, eventually you got to think in terms of, okay, I can make the team, but you got to have these stepping stones. And right now we don't have a lot of stepping stones. In fact, as a non-serious, like 209 or better marathoner in this country anymore, there really aren't a lot of stepping stones. You're not even paid attention to, really.
Yeah.
If you're a 212 marathoner in this country, you have a tough time getting even free shoes.
No, I agree with that. I mean, getting into the Boston Marathon invited fields, it's way too fast. But getting into the race in general is way too slow. There's no meter.
But the race in general is for those people. That's just about making money.
Yeah.
Well, take a look at how our sport is developed in terms of the courses too. I was talking at the Bix race with Baez Simbasa, who had a good race. He was defending champion. He told me he's going to go to Valencia in December, and him and his coach, they got certain goals. So everything has been timed. So this is shoe company marketing. We can't get away from the real world, gentlemen. We lived in the ideal world, and we always love that. But the real world is more practical and nuts and bolts. I like, for example, when Joan Benoit Samuelson was forced to run the Olympic trials race after being, I think, the American record holder in 1984, having surgery on her knee. I thought that was crazy. And would Frank Shorter have won a second gold if he didn't have to duke it out with me, yours truly, but everybody in a trial in May when we're going to run the Olympic marathon in August? Sierpinski, I don't think, had to duke it out and everything.
No, but if you look at it, there weren't that many good marathoners in East Germany anyway. I mean, the other side of this is you could say, okay, countries that are bigger than X get to send, proportionate to their size. I mean, because you look like it.
Most countries
Norway has two really good 1,500 meter runners, and nobody else really.
Yeah.
I mean, in small countries, they don't have this issue really because there aren't that many people. We have a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, we clearly had two guys who had the time.
Oh, yeah.
It was very unlikely that anyone else was going to get the time. Now, they might get enough points,
Which
which
they
are
did.
third, which they did. But the top two, you could make a clear case that there was no reason for them. There was the chances of anybody else.
Well, don't you agree, Bob, Ron, and Benji, that the trials are really a moneymaker for USA Track and Field?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are for USA Track and Field. They're not for the event.
We're just going through, we're just, you know, we're
I don't know what, they have to bid, these cities bid for it. And basically, USA Track and Field will take the highest bidder. I don't think they care. They don't care where the trials are. They don't care if it's hot. They don't care if it's cold.
Politics we're talking
Yeah.
I was on the site selection committee for the marathon trials back in 1992, and when they chose Columbus. And I did have, as the athlete on the committee, I had some say in the course and stuff like that. Or they pretended that I had some say. I went out there, I ran the whole course. I made some comment. I did a little presentation on my experience, and they wanted to run the course through these, places to show off Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, this is about choosing our Olympic team. It's not about showcasing Columbus. But, I understand you do have to tolerate that in order to get these cities to bid on it. But anyway, it was interesting being part of the process in seeing why the other bids got turned down and so forth. Usually they're lucky if they get one good bid, to be honest, one or two good bids, because they have so many demands.
And it is expensive. I mean, the organizing committee has to cough up a lot of money just to get the bid.
Right. Yeah. I'd be okay with selecting a team, to be honest, but that's just me.
Well, I wouldn't have been on the team.
Huh?
Well, you don't know that for sure.
Well, no, I know that. I was seated 13th going into the trials. They wouldn't have selected me.
Well, yeah.
Huh. But
well,
most countries do use selection, I think. They don't have trials. I don't think, Benji. Do they?
Some years maybe you do have to have a trial because you've got that kind of competitive, so many guys that are so competitive. But not, some years you don't. I would say in the last few trials we really didn't. It probably hurt the athletes more than helped in terms of having them prepared at the time. But it's an imperfect process, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, there is no perfect system.
Yeah.
And the trials and the track trials especially are one of the best track meets.
Yeah.
It is the best track meet that we have every 4 years for sure. Great. There's nothing else that's even close.
Well, the World Championship trials aren't too bad.
What's that?
The trials for the World Championships aren't that bad.
That's right. Yeah, I would put that pretty much not the same, but pretty close. Yeah. Well, that's our sport.
Yep. Well, thanks for being with us.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on your show.
And the name of the book?
Yeah, Tales of the Times.
Are you going to follow this up with another book, Bobby?
I don't know. I don't have any plans right now. I might do a Tales too.
You should.
Maybe just make the book better and add some other stuff to it. There are a lot of things that could be added to it, but publishing a book is just like, I mean, I didn't lose my shirt or anything. I'm more than broke even, but it's just a process, that the publishing industry is. If I could find a creative way to do it like I did the last time, then maybe we'll see how it goes. I'll keep writing, that's for sure.
And Benji and Ron, we're waiting for yours.
Yeah. I know.
I was going to, but it's just too much work.
You get a ghostwriter, someone who loves to write. Hire Bob to write.
Yeah. We could collaborate, Ron.
Yeah, we could.
I'm not that good of a writer, though.
There's some I have some interesting stories.
Oh, I know you do. I know.
The question is, do you want them published?
What's that? Yeah, some of them I don't want published.
Ron, you better hurry up and do it because I could do the unauthorized biography.
Oh,
that really
Benji and Bill and I know things. You know,
yeah.
we know some of those.
I was at the mixed race with Frank Schroeder and Meb and Joan Benoit Samuelson over the last few days because 50th anniversary. And Meb had 2 books there he was signing and selling. I had my book, Marathon Man. You know, Joan did a book so many years ago called Running Tide. Like
Running Tide.
Yep, it's no book since. I don't think she
I have it right here.
Yeah, it's a great book, but she doesn't need to do a book. You know what I'm saying? So
it's not really, if you know Joan at all, it's not a great book. But I'm going to plug a couple of books
since then in her life. But this was
Running Tide.
Yeah, Joan Benoit.
Published in this was published in 1987.
87, yep.
But this book just came out, and it's a local author. I went to see his author talk.
Oh, yeah.
This is a phenomenal book about 84.
Yeah.
If you want to read about, yeah.
So say the title out loud because this is just an audio.
Yeah, it's called Long Run to Glory. Joan Benoit with Stephen Lane is the author. So
excerpts from
Running Tide is good, but you know, Joan has some stories, and you know,
you guys living in
time to do another one.
You guys living out there, you know, Bill and Bobby, you guys, I know you had the opportunity to run with her, but I had a run with her. We did Crescent City years ago. Actually, it was before she won Boston in '83, and she was really ticked off at how she ran at Crescent City. So at the I think you guys have you guys all run Crescent City?
Yeah.
Finished at the Audubon Park at the zoo there. Anyway, so it's about 7 miles back to the hotel. And there's a group of us running back. And I just remember she was hammering. She was running low 5-minute pace because she was so pissed off at how
that was Joni, though. I ran a 10-mile with her in 80, the Saturday after Boston. And so we go out to do a run, and she's running harder in the warm down than she probably ran in the race. That's just how she ran.
Oh, I know. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So.
Gear.
Did she train like that as well with you guys? I mean, did you guys ever train with her?
I never trained with her. I just did the occasional warm down with her.
I never trained with her. I ran with her here and there. But I've heard some stories about her training. She trained.
There were like 15 of us running back, and we dropped everyone. I was able to hold on, but
Ron would have let her go.
I can tell you, I was at the Vicks with Joan, and she ran the race. Both done it many times, and she was still flying. So she's a true exception to the rule. Most of
Marrera, no question.
But I think it is for a number of reasons, and I think support is key. Family support, financial support, and things like this. But I also think it's your psychology and the way you are. She was brought up. Her brother was competitive as a kid and everything, but she's still pushing it. So I'm just warning you, if you're on the roads and she's going by, she's going to fast.
I'm not gonna be able to run with her.
She was gone.
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about running with her.
She's a great spokesperson for our entire sport. We got to get credit, in those ways. She's taken a lot of hits, I think, but she has always come back.
Well, she's a true Mainer who, she trained always in Maine. She very rarely went anywhere to train, and it's pretty harsh. Pretty harsh in the winter. Lynn Jennings was the same way.
She has a camp up there now in Maine, doesn't she?
Who is that?
Doesn't Joan have a camp up there now?
I don't know. I think
does. I'm not aware, but
yeah.
That's
Well, the race is coming up this weekend, the Beach to Beacon. It's a great race. I ran the first one many years ago, and I know Meb is going up there. I can't go because I'm actually going to a fundraising group thing. But
I guess it won't see you in Falmouth either.
Falmouth asked me and Joan and Frank. You know, they're mainly into the fundraising side of the sport and forgot a little bit of the history, but this happens.
Yeah, too bad. Well, all good things come to an end, I guess.
Yeah,
but
even
if
us.
If the sport doesn't recognize its history, you
have to go where you're wanted, Bob. That's the deal. You have to go where you wanted, and I still have other races I'm going to, but it's a pity that the race that Tommy Leonard invited Frank Shore, Joan Bernstein, and us in Greater Boston too, said no.
Ancient history, Bill.
Yeah, them maybe.
Well, in other sports, it's not like that. Billie Jean King is still revered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Arnold Palmer, or Jack Nicklaus, or any of the people who helped to create the popular interest in the sport.
Yeah,
they don't. You don't just say thanks.
I think that going to in some strange ways crisis times. You got the money, the fundraising's there, but we have the other.
They have about 10 to 12,000 people, and they charge $100 a piece. So you can do the math. So bring back a few legends. Bring them back a few legends and paying them $1,000.
Too much money.
Really break the bank. It's all priorities.
You're right.
Maybe there's something in town they want to look after. I mean, a lot of the money does go to the town, and of course, all the businesses do benefit from the race. Although they get a little tired of the influx of people, but still, there's a happy medium there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. It's great talking to you and seeing you.
Yep.
And
enjoyed it.
Ron.
I'll see you around. It was good meeting up with Benji at the trials.
Yep,
that was a great week.